Thanks so much. Thanks, Oliver. Well, it's such a pleasure to be here. Yeah, I'm glad I finally made it to a Generate conference. And what an incredible venue we're at here. Like, anyone else feel really sciencey? Right, it's pretty cool. No, it's just beautiful. So yeah, I realize this is obviously a web conference. I've done a bit of web stuff before. There's not much web stuff in my talk today, but that's okay. Instead, what we're going to be doing is having a celebration about technology. Yeah, computers. And actually, just to make sure it's very early, isn't it? I'm not usually up this early, but just to make sure you're kind of awake, I'm not going to embarrass you, don't worry. Now, during my talk, I'm going to take you on a journey through several of my projects, and we're going to look back at the 80s, about what made it amazing for technology, and what started in the 80s has now come to fruition in our present time. But there is also one oblique reference to a JavaScript project in my entire talk. So that's pretty cool, just to make sure you're awake. When you see the JavaScript project, I want you to shout web. First person to shout web will win a print. Yeah, what do you reckon? You up for that? I don't think you'll find it. I don't think you're going to. It's too oblique. Okay, so yeah, just a quick warning. I'm going to be, I did bring a laser. It usually gets a better response, but I realise it's early. So I brought a laser. Oh, wow, that was really spontaneous and unprompted. Thank you very much. Yeah, so lasers are a little bit flickery. They're not as full-on flashy as an actual strobe light, but obviously if you are photosensitive, it'd probably be best to take whatever precautions that you need. I will give you another warning just before I turn the laser on. I'm going to be very dramatic about it, so you'll get a bit of warning, so don't worry too much about that. Okay, so before I talk about the 80s or lasers, I'm 5 minutes in already. How did that happen? Is that real? I've been talking for 5 minutes. I haven't even started my talk. What have I literally don't know what I've been doing. Oh, they're putting it back up again. Yeah, was it a mistake? Who knows? It's just random numbers on this thing now. I'm just going to talk until it gets to 0. It's fine. Challenge accepted, not a problem. Yeah, so before I get into the 80s, I'm going to just quickly cover a few of my projects. So I like to do big, large-scale installations, all interactive stuff like this one, Pixel Pyros, not Pixel Pioneers. I always think whenever he says Pixel Pioneers, you know Ollie's new thing? It's a new cool thing, Pixel. You've all heard of it? You need to do some more PR. Anyway, Pixel Pioneers is Oliver's thing. Pixel Pyros is my thing. It's a digital fireworks display projected on these massive screens. Like the screens are 18 by 12 meters high, and you need some serious rigging. You've got some scissor lifts that we rig them on. Look how big that is. It's really cool. I like taking computers outdoors. It's a bit cold, but but it's quite nice, when most of our time we're like, computers. That's what you do, right? Programming. What am I talking about? It's way too early to be weird. I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah, so it's quite nice to just go, oh, that screen's nice. This screen is way better. Oh, sorry. No gesticulating allowed. I do apologise. Jeff the sound guy. Sorry, Jeff. I dropped your mic already. Mic drop so early in the talk. Right, yeah, so with Pixel Pyros, it's an interactive display. So you see all those lights along the bottom. You touch one of the lights and it triggers a firework. So big projectors that I use, but also lasers. So the lasers pick out the bright spots in the projection. So that's pretty cool. I've got another project called Laser Light Synths, obviously using lasers, but I built these musical instruments that are covered with super bright LEDs. And they're musical instruments for anyone to play, so it's completely democratic. You can just go and play these instruments, and you can be in the band. And of course, I project lasers up the wall, slightly 80s Kraftwerk style. But yes, so all of my projects have a slight 80s feel, I think. I don't know why. It's probably just my upbringing. And 80s is kind of cool again now, isn't it? So from this sort of 80s styling, and some of the synth sounds on this project are quite 80s as well. But also, Pixel Pyros, one whole section is like low resolution pixel fireworks, kind of like how fireworks would look if you did them on your ZX Spectrum. But also references like Space Invaders. You know, I make the biggest Space Invaders game just as part of the fireworks displays, you know, so 30 people can all zap Space Invaders. But I love 80s stuff. Another one of my projects with a bit of an 80s reference, slightly smaller, is Lunar Trails, which refers back to this Lunar Lander game from, actually this is from the late 70s, unbelievably. Arcade game where you have to land your lunar module on the moon. And I thought, well, I'll make a big arcade cabinet, run this game, and while you play the game, I've got this big plotter in the background. You can see it there. It's 3 meters wide, and the plotter draws the trails that you take through the path through the game. And over time, it builds up into this artwork. Like this is quite cool, isn't it? Just makes... So every one of those lines is someone who's taken that path through the game. And so you can see it like the landing zones there and there. You can see where everyone's been sort of hovering around a bit. It's quite nice, isn't it? Nice little journey. Then I've got this other project called the Mindfulness Machine. It's based on a plotter, a pen plotter from the 80s. And it's kind of thinking about a future where the robots do all the work, right? But they're also going to need to chill out a bit as well. So I just made this robot, and it has moods. It gets moody, and sometimes it colors in black if it's in a bad mood. And if it's in a happy mood, it will do all the colors. It's really, really nice. So yeah, and you know, we're all quite busy as well, aren't we? So we don't always get the time for mindfulness. So, you know, we can outsource that to the robots as well. And so, unbelievably, it's actually quite relaxing to watch. So it's even better. And they're so much better at colouring in than we could ever be, right? It's like they don't go over the lines at all. Look at that, look. Look, it's so pleasing. I love that project. Yeah, so, so let's talk about retro. Let's talk about 80s, right? So this is a joystick. It's an Atari joystick. This is actually from the late 70s, so even further back. Our Atari VCS, anyone have one of those? Pretty cool. Yeah, a couple of you. Excellent. So you know what I'm talking about. But this is a really, truly iconic joystick, isn't it? You probably recognize this even if you've never had an Atari. But look at inside at the PCB. Look at that, the circuit board, printed circuit board, PCB. It's these tracks are kind of hand drawn, right? So back then, often the circuitry was drawn by hand, and beautiful curves and shapes. Of course, I ripped out all the wires and put in an Arduino, so I can use this Atari joystick with my computer. Of course, the joke's on me, because these joysticks are horrible. They're really hard to use. Does anyone use one? Yeah, you know what I mean? Right, they're so squishy and disgusting. That's what it was like in the 80s. We didn't care. Yeah, so here's a computer from the late 70s. So this is what computers were like. They looked so cool. Like, look how cool that is. Commodore PET. But computers back then had a bit of an attitude. You know, they were just like, what? What do you want? You'd type stuff in. Most of it would be wrong. They had a real attitude. But you'd buy computers. In the 80s, it was the first time you could really afford a computer to take home with you. And the first time you could afford an arcade game to take home with you. This was unbelievable. You know, the fact, you know, you had arcade games in the arcades, but you know, now you could take this console home, plug it into your TV. You can actually interact with your TV for the first time ever. It blew people's minds, and people loved their Ataris. This guy totally loved his Atari. But then I'm not really surprised, because he's got a 10 cartridge changer. Yeah, so he can just change the game with a little switch. He doesn't even need to like change the cartridge by hand. Yeah, this is the future. Welcome to the future. People are unbelievably happy in the future. So here's some things that you don't see nowadays from the 80s. So like nowadays we have a mobile phone. In the 80s you'd have a phone card. Does anyone remember those? Unbelievable, right? You'd have to go into a phone box. But at least now, with this incredible technology, you would no longer need coins. You just put this card in. This is our version of Amazon, the ubiquitous Argos catalog. And this was what we had instead of Spotify. Wood veneer, that's pretty cool. Wood veneer, just like the Atari. And then, of course, here's another classic 80s icon, the 3.5-inch floppy disk, or nowadays just known as the save icon, right? Yeah, an old joke, I know. I couldn't help myself. Right, another thing that we had completely was ubiquitous in the 80s was the cathode ray tube television. Yeah, so these big hulking monitors, they were everywhere. Look, the more cathode ray tubes, the cooler it was. It was so cool. We could have TVs everywhere, color TVs. And we all had them in our living rooms. We just could all stare and slowly, quietly irradiate ourselves in front of these incredible, well, you know, they had so much badness coming out of them, didn't they? So there was an advert in the 80s, I don't know if you remember it. It was an advert for Ready Brek, do you remember? And everyone glowed up, right, from the warm porridge that it's disgusting cereal. Do they still have it? I don't even know. I hope not. Anyway, so you'd think it was from the cereal, but no, it was really because you'd just been watching telly too close. Cathode ray tubes, you don't see them very often now. Mostly you'll see them in the tip. Oh, it's pretty sad. I don't even think they make cathode ray tubes anymore. So this is where you'll find cathode ray tubes these days. But in the 80s, they would be alive and well living in the arcades. You know, so all these beautiful, shining monitors glowing up for you to play games. Do you want to know how a cathode ray tube works? Yeah, 2 of you do. That's brilliant. Right, for you 2, this is it. So you've got an electron gun here, just spitting out electrons. And the electrons are attracted to this front of the screen there because there's like a drain for the electricity. I don't even know. Whatever. The electrons come out of there and they want to go here to the front screen. Lead-lined glass with phosphor. Now, the electrons come out in all directions, but these coils, they squish the electrons together into a single beam, right? So it comes through as a single dot. And wherever that dot lands on the front, it glows up. And by powering these coils more strongly or weakly in each direction, you can move the cathode ray around. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah. I just have to imagine the response. It's 9 o'clock, right? Well, there's not going to be any real response. So most cathode ray tubes would scan from left to right in rows like that and turn on and off and build up the screen like that in tiny little pixels. But other types of cathode ray tubes, I'm not even going to go there. Oh, hang on, I've got some cathode ray tube close-ups before I get onto that. Look, there's Pac-Man. Oh, bless. But yeah, other types of cathode ray tubes just literally moved the cathode ray around to draw the shapes, like this oscilloscope. So the cathode ray is literally moving left to right and drawing that over and over again to making that graphic. And some of the cathode ray tubes in arcades worked like this as well, like this game. I always forget. I always go blank on this. I think it's called Battlezone. Does anyone know? Yeah. Is it Battlezone? I didn't mess it up? Okay, good. But this was a vector screen. It's such a beautiful screen. So it's literally just drawing these shapes really fast, moving around. And Lunar Lander, of course, that had a vector screen too. Classic Tempest game. But you can see the quality of the lines here. So glowy and gorgeous and bright. And you could even get a vector screen arcade console called the Vectrex. Anyone seen one of those? Yeah? No? No, they're really cool. Get one on eBay. They're 100 quid or something. But they have these beautiful, beautiful screens, and they're stunning to look at. The best vector screen game ever was probably Star Wars. I mean, just look at the gorgeous, glowing graphics there. Look. So beautiful and neon-y, right? And you sort of see where some of the inspiration for like Tron and stuff came from in the 80s. This very sort of vector neon-style graphics, and probably the most famous vector screen game ever, probably the most successful, was Asteroids. Yeah, and Asteroids. If you've ever seen an actual Asteroids arcade machine, you know, if you ever get the chance to play one, check it out, because it's absolutely stunning to look at. Like, the bullets are so bright. Look at those bullets. And the cathode ray just lingers a little bit longer to draw the bullets. So they just zing, they just pop out of the screen, so bright and beautiful. And of course, it's quite hard to recreate that unless you have a vector screen. So you might have the MAME arcade emulator, but this is what Asteroids looks like in MAME. Pretty boring, isn't it? It's like pixels. Look at the bullets there. You can't even really see them. What's the point of that? Oh, see, that's what they should look like. That's what the bullets should look like. Oh, not like that. Oh. Yeah, I was in the Computer Game Museum in Berlin a couple of weeks ago, and their arcade game, their Asteroids arcade, has been replaced with like an LCD screen. That's rubbish. But if you want to see an Asteroids arcade, you can go to Four Quarters. I think it's in Peckham. They've got a real Asteroids arcade game there. So it's hard to recreate this shiny, beautiful vector screen look, and certainly even harder to scale it up, right? Unless you've got lasers, right? Because, yeah, right, thank you. At last. Right, we're waking up. The coffee's kicking in. Great. So, yes, I am a fully trained laserist. That's an actual thing, just by the way. And you can tell, you know, laserists, they're a small community of kind of geeky engineers. You probably know the type, right? You've all got a coding department. Yeah, so it's that kind. And you can tell a laser, you can sort of judge the laserist community by their one joke. They only have one joke, and it's in the form of a safety sign that says, "Don't look into the beam with your remaining eye." Dorks. I'm so mean. It's a funny joke the first time. So yeah, I use big lasers on tour. Here's the 11-watt one that we take on tour with Pixel Pyros. And 11 watts, it doesn't sound that bright, does it? But 11 watts is how much laser energy there is. That's not how much electricity it uses. And if you think about it, this laser, this is 0.5 milliwatt, this little red laser. And that's 11 watts, so it's 20,000 times, over 20,000 times as bright as this. So that's bright, right? Yeah, it's pretty bright. So how does it work? Okay, so we've got a single laser beam. It's actually 3 laser beams. There's a red laser, a green laser, and a blue laser, and they're all converged into one beam using mirrors and filters. And then that combined beam hits one of these mirrors, and it's attached to one of these, which is a galvanometer, which is like, you know, on old hi-fis from the 80s? You get like little needles, the meter needles. You've probably seen them in films and stuff, right? They're attached to a galvanometer. They're basically electromagnetic that charges and makes things move. So one of the galvos moves the mirror this way, and that moves the beam left and right, and this one oscillates up and down to move the beam up and down. So using those two mirrors, they move really, really, really fast, and it can move the laser around and project shapes. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah, so maybe you want to see it? Yeah. Okay, here's where the strobe light warning comes in. Okay, so should we fire up the laser? Now, they've taped down my safety button. Hang on. It's fine. Look, I've got a safety button. Look, can you see it? So, yeah, right? They're excited. Now, where's the key? Hang on. It's really funny when I don't actually know where it's gone. When I first started working with lasers, like the laser AV guys came and set up the laser. They gave me one of these safety buttons, and me and my programmer friends just all started Instagramming this safety button. It's like, oh my God, we got something that's a safety button on now. They thought we were mad. Someone want to Instagram the safety button? See me later. Okay, so the safety button is open. The laser is now armed. Yeah. Wait till you see it. Okay, so I'm just going to run this one. Okay, so first of all, let's, the laser's armed, it's on. Can I just have the lights down a bit? Okay, so first of all, let's just turn the laser on. Oh, we've got a dot. That's pretty cool, isn't it? So that's a single laser beam. Yeah, that's cool. So we can move the laser beam around and draw shapes. So like here, if we move it in a circle, we can get faster and faster and faster, and it actually draws a circle. So, and you can do separate beams as well, right? So you can do like multiple points. You just literally move the laser to the first point, turn it off, and then move it to the next point, turn it on for a bit, turn it off. So that way you can do multiple points with just one laser. That's pretty cool. But we want to make asteroids, right? We want to recreate asteroids with a laser. So first of all, let's draw the ship. There you go. Got a little ship. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So I don't know if anyone's spotted, but the laser intensity is currently at 12%. Should we turn it up to full? Okay, here we go. Whoa! Okay, and so the original Asteroids game, you remember, actually I can turn it around. Oh, that's pretty. And the original Asteroids game had really bright bullets, so let's see if I can recreate those. Whoa. So now we're getting close to like recreating the actual vector screen of asteroids. So is anyone any good at asteroids? It's obviously a bit easy at this point. It's probably, yeah, look at that. I can move around. Oh, look. Oh, shit. Okay, so are you ready to play the full game, Asteroids? Should we do it? Yeah. Oh, okay, so who wants to play? Who's good at asteroids? Let's have a volunteer. Don't all rush. Oh, yeah, there you go. You're enduring the front as well, so come on down. What's your name?
Marcus.
Marcus. Let's hear it for Marcus. Thank you so much. Okay, so the controls are... Sorry, I've just got these... I didn't bring my Atari joystick, I'm sorry. But you've got the left and right cursor, and the up arrow as well if you want to thrust, if you're feeling ambitious. Okay. Unfortunately, you have to sort of look behind you.
That's going to be hard.
I could do that, but then it's... Is that all right?
No,
that's okay. Okay, let's do that. No, it's fine because they can't see that. They've muted the monitor, so that's good. Okay, cool. Well, when you're ready to start, I think press space to fire. You can look at that if that's easier. Yeah. And let's give it a go, Marcus. Why don't you try it? Hit space. There you go. Wait a little while. There you go. Oh. Can you have the sound effects up a bit? Ooh. Oh, that was close. There you go. Yay. Oh my God, it's out of control. What's going on? Oh. Let's see, can he clear the whole round? Can you have the lights down a bit more? There you go. Can he do the whole screen? You're probably going to do it, aren't you, Marcus? One more. Let's hear it. Just one more. Just one more asteroid. Just get the last one. Come on. Come on, Marcus. Just let's hear it for Marcus. Thanks so much. Thank you. All right. Okay, so let's just talk a little bit about how this works. I'm obviously drawing all of those shapes, and it's actually quite tricky with the laser because you're actually moving the mirrors around. So if you want to do a corner, you actually have to slow down into the corner and then speed up out of it again. Otherwise, it just skids around the corner and you get like a kind of curve instead of a nice sharp corner. So there's some quite complex maths going on behind the scenes there. And then, of course, because there's all of those different shapes, I've got to figure out the right order in which to draw everything. And I don't know if you can see, but let's maybe if I just... Oh, Jesus. I don't know what I'm doing. Hang on. Let's just pause it. Okay. I don't know if you could see that. Let's turn on the laser path. So can you see it on the screen up there? There's that blue line, and that's actually showing you the path that the laser's taking. In fact... I can make the laser do a dashed red line in between all the shapes, so you can see all the different the different directions that it goes in. And if I unpause that, you can see that it's constantly having to... Where am I? I literally can't see where I am. You can see it's constantly updating the path that it has to take. So, and don't forget, it's easy to forget, isn't it? Because it's quite a cool... image is quite a clean image. It's easy to forget that it's actually just one laser beam. But what I can do to just prove it to you is actually slow it down. Oh, that's really slow. Come on. Actually, that's really dangerous to leave it like that, so I will just escape from that. I've actually got a new laser controller, so usually I've never had it do that before. It's, oh, that's not good. Right, emergency stop button. There you go. Yay! Health and safety, yeah! Okay, let's just try that again. I think it's because I brought the points down to 0, which I've never done before. Is it doing anything? Oh, jeez. It says it's happy. I might just have to reset. Okay, there you go. It just took a while to show up. Okay. Right, so what was I doing? Yes, I was showing you the laser moving really slow. Yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it? Let's take it a bit. Oh, it screws up when I do that. Okay, sorry, this is a new controller. But anyway, you saw the laser moving real slow, didn't you? And it was really cool. And I haven't burnt a hole in the wall, so I'm kind of happy with that. That's good times. Okay, so laser asteroids. So where has my presentation gone? Oh, there you go. Right. Okay, so I'll come back to the laser in a bit, assuming it comes back. I might just going to hit the stop button. Oh, there you go. Right, so yes, how long have I got? 13 minutes. Oh, shit. Okay. This last section is going to be a rush, but I want to talk about... oh, hang on. What do I want to talk about? The NES Zapper. Oh, did you see that? Look at that. The only justifiable use of that transition. Yeah? If you see that again in the whole conference, no. You can only do that if you've got a laser. So yes, the Nintendo Entertainment System, another classic arcade, not arcade, console, game console from the 80s. Look at these people. So I found this picture on the internet attached to an article explaining everything that was wrong with the picture. Don't you love the internet? Anyway, I won't go into that. Well, look, they're saying, oh, he's not pushing the jump button. But look, he's jumping. Yay, yay for pedants on the internet. It's just a good thing they didn't see the Japanese box art because they really don't know how to hold the controller. Look at that. They're just like, oh, it is this wonderful, precious controller. What do I do with this? Who knows? Nobody knows. The NES had a load of peripherals, including the worst peripheral ever, the robot. Did you have one?
I wish.
Right? Yeah. Of course, everyone wishes for Rob the robot, the robotic operating buddy. Yeah, it's an acronym. But it's in fact, you would have been exceptionally disappointed if you'd got one because they are shit. They're so shit. They look so cool, but they are so shit. They just pick up discs and no one knows the point of them. But there is another peripheral that's amazing. The Zapper, the NES light gun, the Zapper. Let's just read the blurb about it. Oh, the Zapper lets you shoot moving targets with pinpoint accuracy from up to 16 feet, which is kind of impressive. The cable's only 8 feet. But then the cable on this one, look, that's only like 1 foot, so what's that about? It's just going to be like... Yes, anyway, so it came with a package, Duck Hunts. Yeah, did anyone play Duck Hunts? Game where you actually have to shoot the ducks. There's this dog, he's your hunting dog, and the ducks fly around and you shoot them with this laser gun. And then when you miss them, all the dog just like laughs at you. It's like the most evil dog ever. I have 10 minutes to explain how this Zapper works. So I bought a couple, I opened it up immediately, but it's quite interesting. This light gun doesn't actually emit light. Light goes in through this lens and reaches a photocell here. that there and that there, they're just weights. They're just to make it feel cool. But it's astonishingly well built, this laser gun. But I suppose you want to know how it actually works, right, the game? Yeah, now you're waking up. Yay! Excellent. So, yes, here's some footage I recorded of duck hunt. So you can see the duck is flying around. So when you click the trigger on the gun, that's actually sending a message to the arcade. So let's just pause it and rewind, because when you click the trigger, it actually sends a message to the console, and it blanks the whole screen. Did you see the flicker? Yeah, so when I pull the trigger, everything goes black for 1 frame, and then for 1 frame, it shows up a white box where the duck was, right? So if the gun sees black, it uses the black to calibrate itself, and then if it sees the white, then it knows you've caught a duck. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Very clever technology. Sadly, it doesn't work on modern screens. Oh, sad emoji. Because, well, it's actually weird, because it should work, right? But the problem with modern TVs is that they're digital. There's a bit of processing, tiny bit of latency. Just that tiny bit of latency is enough to stop it immediately seeing the white square. So by the time the white square is picked up by the gun, the machine is no longer looking for it. So that's a bit sad. On the plus side, you can get laser guns like really cheap. So I bought a couple on Amazon. This timer's gone up. Is that good? Can I just fill forever? No, but is that real? It's 10 minutes. It says 14 minutes. I'm going to stick with that. That's the Bible as far. Sorry, Ollie. I've got to obey the numbers, right? Just wasted 1 minute just arguing about that. Anyway, yes, so I bought a couple on Amazon. They were so cheap, obviously, because you can't use them anymore. So, ripped it apart. First thing I did, put a laser in it. Yeah, that was pretty easy. It only took me about a day. It doesn't take long to put a laser in stuff. And then I put some super bright LEDs on the outside. So that's pretty cool. Look at that. Oh, yeah, so I can get the little chase of LEDs down there. And then you see the laser beam at the back there. Pure, pure. That's pretty cool, right? That was easy, right? I sort of felt that was a bit easy. The thing with laser beams, like, they look quite cool, like when you're just pointing, you see the little dot at the end. But sometimes you want to see the actual beam, and you can only do that with a smoke machine. So I've got a smoke machine at home. This is what a laser beam looks like in smoke. That's really cool, isn't it? That's so beautiful. And I thought, well, this is going to make my laser gun look great if I just use a smoke machine. But I didn't really want to carry a smoke machine around wherever I went. That would be a bit ridiculous. So I thought I'd put a smoke machine in the gun. A little tiny smoke machine, put it in the gun. So I went to the local vape store. And I bought a vape pen. That was a surreal trip. Does anyone here do vaping? Is that what you say? Do you do a vape? Yeah. So I didn't know anything about vaping. I just went into the store and was like, I'd like a vape machine, please. I believe that's the technical term. And they're like, oh, great, I'm sure I can. How often do you smoke? And I was like, oh, I don't smoke. I just want it for my laser gun. So I bought this vape pen, and then I realized you can actually get even smaller vape e-cigarette things. Like, look at these ones. They've got a disposable tip. But you see that tip there, that's the entire smoke machine, and the liquid and everything is just in that tip. This whole bit here is just the battery. So I thought, well, if I can power it from an external power supply, then that's it. A tiny, teeny little smoke machine. That's exactly what I want. So, first steps, custom-made a CNC milled PCB, printed circuit board, did loads of electronics, so it's got lots of little MOSFETs for controlling the smoke and the fan and the air pump. Also got a bigger laser for the gun, and a 3D printed kind of carriage with holes around it to let the smoke through. And this is what it ended up like. I've got the lights, and you can see now with the smoke that you can just about see that laser beam coming out. So that's pretty cool. And so this is what it looked like in the end, inside. So let's just talk you through it. There's the laser there at the end with the 3D printed parts, some wiring. So that's the e-cigarette tip there. That's the smoke machine entirely in there. A 3D printed duct down to this, which is the air pump. There's also a little fan there as well, just to help push it out a bit more. This is the original switch unit. That's a really nice trigger mechanism, so I kept that. Then you can see the wiring going to the outside, to the lights on the outside of the gun. And this is my 3D printed, no, not 3D printed, this is my CNC milled PCB circuit board. And this on top is a Teensy, which is an Arduino compatible prototyping board. But I like Teensies because they're very fast and they're teeny, hence the name. But Teensies are what I used in the laser light synths earlier. So yeah, I put it all together. One more thing that I had to do, which is, well, I kind of wanted to be able to use this gun to like fire, to make it look cool when you fired it, right? You could see a little dot at the end, but wouldn't it be cool if it made a little explosion? So I took an infrared camera, pointed it at my wall, and wherever that camera saw a little dot out of my laser gun, it would recognize it, and then I had some code that would generate a little explosion with my big laser, with this laser. And this is what it looked like, so fire at the wall, and it makes little explosions. So there you go, that was pretty cool. So it's a bit embarrassing because this was just a work in progress. I hadn't really finished it, but I put it on Twitter. Turns out the internet loved it. Gizmodo covered it, and it was all for the launch of Digital Brighton. And I hooked it up to Asteroids, and you can see here my friends James and Jamie just literally losing their shit over this game, being able to play Asteroids with a laser gun. Look at that. And you can see the laser beam, right, coming out, just with that little bit of smoke. There you go. So I thought, laser Asteroids is pretty cool, but it's like Asteroids is already a vector graphic, right? So it's quite easy to generate, but wouldn't it be cool to do like laser duck hunts? But duck hunt is like pixels, right? So it's very difficult to render with a laser. So I had to redraw every single cell of animation from duck hunts in vector graphics. And then I made laser duck hunts, yay! So do you want, I didn't bring the gun, unfortunately. I travelled a bit light, but I can show you laser duck hunt out of the laser if you want. Yeah, do you want to see it? Hopefully it works again. Now where's my key? Damn it. Safety first, everyone. It's very important. Fully trained laserist here. Okay, let's exit that. Turn mirroring off. Sorry. Very English. Just apologise constantly. Sorry. Okay. Okay, laser. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that looks all right. So there's Asteroids, but you want to see laser duck hunts. Yay! All right. So it's a bit difficult to play this without being able to see what I'm doing or having a gun or anything. Let's see what happens. Bit more volume, please. Oh. Let's see. The dog is still just as much of a... Yay! Two in one go. Oh, okay, so that's laser duck hunt. So, yeah, if any of you have rich bosses, just let me know and I'll come and set this up at your corporate event. That'd be great. Business time. It was business time. Excellent. That was my only effort at networking. I'm terrible at networking. Okay, so obviously I felt a little bit bad that there was obviously this game that none of you could play. So I thought, well, is there maybe a laser game that I could make that everyone could play here? I wondered. So I've got, yeah, Flappy Bird. Flappy Bird! Yay, okay, so this Flappy Bird, let's just turn the laser off during the move. So this laser, much like the speakers that you'll see today and tomorrow, thrives on applause. So I'll turn the intensity up a bit. There you go, that's better. So why don't we just check the level? Why don't you just applaud and see if you can make the... Okay, so just to do the calibration properly, make as much noise as you possibly can. Go for it. Okay, yeah, so how do you feel about that? All right? Yeah, you ready to play Laser Clappy Birds? In 3, 2, 1, go! All right, so call that a practice run? All right, so let's go. All right, so you see what's going on there, right? Just there's a bit of a delay in the feedback loop, so just try and keep it even this time, okay? Just don't panic so much. Are you ready? In 3, 2, 1, go! Who whooped? Okay, I'm running out of time, but do you want just one more go? 3, 2, 1, go! Two points! Laser Clappy Bird, everyone! Okay, right, let's see if I can bring this talk to some kind of sensible ending. What have I got? I've got loads of pictures of Duck Hunt. You just saw that. Kids love it. Whoa. Okay, so what have we learnt? Well, obviously the 80s was a really exciting time for technology. For the first time ever, we got high fidelity in our pockets. Pretty exciting. The Walkman, that was the first time that we could just listen to decent music. It was incredible. We could all own our own synthesizers. We could all do sums. And, of course, we could do sums on our wrist. Pretty exciting. And we all, for the first time, had access to high-powered computers. And that was just the start of this technology revolution. Fast forward to the present day, and we've all got this in our pockets. It's absolutely incredible. So love the 80s for what it started, but love technology now because it's just beyond what our little 80s brains could ever imagine. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it. I've probably got 58 seconds for questions, but thank you very much.